Hello and welcome to the Star Wars After Show presented by Verizon. I am the real Andy Gutierrez, not the hologram I was for the last 2 episodes, co-host of the Star Wars Show. And this week on the show, we are talking Rancho ObiWan and all of the amazing stuff inside. Joining me this week is my esteemed panel of Lucasfilm employees and Star Wars fans: Pete Vilmer, head of fan relations here at Lucasfilm; Tony Shirk, production assistant for the Star Wars Show; and Matt Martin, creative executive on the Lucasfilm Story Group. So, guys, this week on the show, we visited Rancho ObiWan and Steve Sansweet and kind of perused the record-breaking Star Wars memorabilia collection that's housed there. And I'm sure you can infer that that has a little bit to do with why you all are invited here, since you're all collectors and you know, familiar with the ranch. To kick things off, what is it that you think is so special about Rancho ObiWan, aside from the fact that it's the biggest Star Wars collection in the world?
Well, I think of it as kind of the spiritual center of Star Wars fandom, actually. That's kind of the way I see it. I mean, you've got the archives that exist at Skywalker Ranch and at Lucasfilm, but Steve and his collection is kind of the spiritual center of where the fans can exist, or at least have a place to think of their own. And, you know, in addition to housing an incredibly significantly sized collection, there's a lot of history there and a lot of stories about fans and the way they express themselves through fandom.
Totally. That was my first time there, actually, just recently. And I mean, everyone else who I was with had been, so they just started walking through like it was no big deal. And I'm stopping like every 2 feet. Like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And you're totally right. Like, it doesn't have the same feel as like here or Skywalker Ranch. It has that cool kind of cross connection between the fans and like the real properties. And I need to go back because you can literally spend all day there.
Totally.
I mean, if you ever get a chance to go, trust me, you'll know what I mean. It's nuts. It's awesome.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is actually kind of seeing kind of American history over the last 40 years through the products that you find at Rancho. Like, you can see how design has changed, how marketing has changed, how products themselves have changed just by like the way that they did Star Wars differently in different eras.
And all the random stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just there's so many things that you never thought they would slap Star Wars on, but it's there. I mean, all the way from bikes to guitars to anything. Bathroom stuff, I mean, toothbrushes.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parts, is the bathroom full of all the weird vintage
bathroom
bathroom products.
Totally, totally.
Filled to the ceiling. I was like, well,
There's never a moment at Rancho where you're not being inundated with Star Wars, even in the bathroom.
You know, the bike that you mentioned, he made that.
You made the bike?
I made the bike.
Well, shoot. It's
Skywalker
awesome.
Ranch bike. Yep. Did that a few years ago.
Nice.
I was talking earlier where recently the entire Skywalker Ranch fleet of bikes had been given away to be refreshed, and I just found out about this. It was a year late, and I found out where they donated them, and I went down there, and they are gone. They all went to Burning Man last year.
They went to Burning Man last year?
They went to Burning Man last year.
Yeah.
That sucks, because I took last year off. I maybe could have snagged one for
I know.
you.
Was it just like a parade of Star Wars bikes?
I don't know.
They
They said that they were just inundated with requests for cruisers, and these were cruisers, so
they were probably
they all went
converted to the public bikes.
Yes. Yes, they
wow.
Dang. They're probably still out there then.
They probably are, somewhere in the Bay Area.
Covered in
We'll keep our eye
sand.
out for them.
So at the helm of Rancho ObiWan is somebody that we all love very dearly, Steve Sansweet. And he has an exceptionally long history with Star Wars and with the company as well. He used to be the head of fan relations.
Yep, sure did. Basically, Steve invented the role of fan relations for Lucasfilm. He had it for many years. He's the one who actually started the celebrations as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's cool.
And then several years later, Mary Franklin took on that role, and Steve continued to work on behalf of fans and on celebrations as well. And in recent years, I took on that mantle, so now I'm kind of carrying that. And Steve is very near and dear to us all, of course. And physically, he's literally only 5 minutes away. I can visit Rancho anytime I want, 5 minutes from my house. So it's always a nice thing.
And you've worked with him on books.
Oh yeah, I've worked with him on a couple books. Still would love to get another poster book out, but we'll see someday.
Steve's actually a big inspiration on me and my collecting, because when I got into Star Wars, it was all just I wanted toys to play with, and it was his book, From Concept to Screen to Collectible, that made me think, like, you know what, maybe there's more to toys than just playing with them. And then I actually met Steve when I was 11. I love rubbing that, like
Really?
rubbing that in his face to make him feel old. But yeah, 11-year-old me at a comic convention came upon Steve Sansweet, the guy that wrote my favorite book. And I like nervously went up and talked to him, and he was, of course, was super cool. And then years later, I met him again. I'm like, hey, I met you when I was a kid.
I met him when I was young too. A Toy-rifics show in Pasadena. These old toy shows that they used to have. And,
Awesome.
that's the first place I met him, and it was for an old campaign book that I'd been looking for. And I showed it to him. He says, "That's a really nice piece." And that's all I remember.
That was my favorite thing about him. Like literally every piece in his entire collection, he has a story about and can remember. I mean, we would ask him, "Oh, what's this?" and wouldn't skip a beat, and would just be, "Oh, that's from this, this, and that." And I met this guy, and he. The funniest part I thought was that he mostly would buy 2 of everything, like a toy, one to play with, which was super cool, and then one to collect. And yeah, everything from the toys to the video games too was a big thing for me.
Oh yeah.
I loved being able to see all those old cabinet machines because I grew up playing those a ton. At Nickel. Yep. Good times.
Dude, and some of those are so difficult.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
some of them
so
you can't even play.
difficult, yeah.
I think this week on the show you got an idea for how hard, especially the pod racing one is.
The pod racer one's not that bad. What's
What?
I'm
Wait,
so
Matt,
crazy.
Matt, what was the one? I can't remember. It was the black screen with like just the line, the vector.
The Vector
Oh,
one.
yeah.
The original
That
Star
is-
Wars.
the original arcade
That
game.
is impossible
It's really
to play. It is
fast-paced, yeah.
so
It is.
frustrating.
Yeah, it's
it's
tough.
It's a great one though.
It's so frustrating. But he's got all the cool pinball machines and stuff too. Like,
And the Plink, was it called Plinko machines?
was it Pachinko?
Pachinko, that's
Pachinko
it. Not
machines,
Plink.
yeah, from
Pachinko.
Japan.
Those were the
amazing.
loudest things. Oh my god, you
They're
turn them
great,
on, the
though.
whole room just exploded. But yeah, the balls and all the little cute Japanese animations and the Star Wars music was super cool. I've never seen those.
I mean, and he just is constantly acquiring new stuff for Rancho. I mean, that's not even the entire collection.
Oh no,
Not
he's
even
got
close.
he's actually got a separate warehouse now because he kind of spilled over into because so he's got the showroom, which is basically the main rancho where you can visit. But then he's got kind of a warehouse where he's got stuff staged, maybe getting ready to be presented at some point, just not ready yet. But just speaking about the collection in general, what's special about Steve and the collection is he's got a story associated with every piece. So if you go to any item on any shelf and pull it off, he can tell you literally the history of where that came from and if there's anything interesting about it and how did he acquire it. Is there a funny circumstance in how it reached him? Was it some contact in some far off land that sent it to him? That's what makes that collection so special.
Yeah, and I've always really enjoyed how it's organized because you can actually look and see the different iterations of a product, like the action figure that they just updated a little bit for its next release, and they're right next to each other, and you can track kind of how it grew.
It's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. You guys are all big collectors yourself. I know, at least you guys. I haven't seen your collection because you don't really like have a full.
No, I
office
got
here.
some of my toys here, but most of it's like newer, especially like Disney stuff. I'm really big with the Star Wars Disney crossover stuff. I think that stuff's really fun. Yeah,
Matt, you want to elaborate a little bit on your collection because you've been
yeah, he's
accumulating stuff.
Yeah,
for-
no, I've been collecting since I was like 8. So I have an entire room at my mom's house in Southern California that is like mini Rancho ObiWan, which has about as much stuff packed into it as you can possibly have and still be able to walk. And you have to walk single file. You can't walk 2 by 2 or anything in that room. And then like the entire garage is just filled with boxes of all of the other stuff that I have.
You gonna start giving tours soon, or?
Like occasionally people will, like my mom will offer people tours to neighbors and things, and it's cool to walk them around, but I'm no Steve.
Your mom, like, helped you accumulate all of your toys too, huh?
Yeah, she was the start of the problem.
That's awesome.
Rancho Matt Martin has a good ring to it.
So I started collecting also when I was 8, but that was 1977 because I'm a little older than that. So I've been collecting for 40 years. Now, I've got a single room for my collection, so I can't have a lot of bulky stuff, so it's not very toy-centric. It's more information and document and production information.
Just say the word, Pete.
Posters, flat
Flat
stuff. Flat stuff. Sorry. Matt always makes fun of me for collecting flat stuff, so, which is, totally,
Easier to store.
Yeah.
No, I'm jealous of your flat stuff
I've
collection.
got lots
You
of
have
flat
a lot
stuff.
of the
Got-
best flat stuff ever.
Thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate
See, and
that.
I appreciate it too because whenever I need to know something, I know that you're going to be the one that knows it. If I have to identify a poster or some sort of weird technical thing about a ship or something, like, I know Pete Vilmer's got the back.
It's been a lot of reading and a lot of years in this world, so yeah.
Do you have like a favorite? Like, what's your crown jewel in your collection?
Well, I always like to, you know, one of my favorite pieces ever was the Style D Strusian poster for Star Wars, 1978. It's the circus style poster. I actually got that one framed and I put that in my office here because it's such a special piece. It's certainly not the most valuable piece, but it just sings to me.
It was George's favorite poster, right?
Yeah, it was definitely, I think it was.
Matt, do you have like a focus?
Not really. Like I used to be really heavily focused on action figures and things like that. After I moved out and like stopped having expendable income, it kind of became a collection of anything I could get my hands on. So it's very random and all over the place, but you know, I still do try to get action figures whenever they come out. Excited for the Rogue One stuff.
Yeah, the Rogue One stuff is awesome.
Looks cool. Looks really cool. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming by and talking about collecting and talking about Rancho, because it just makes me really want to go back again. I haven't been in a really long time.
Gala's coming up.
Yeah, it is. November.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to attend. Thanks so much for coming by, and thank you guys so much for watching the Star Wars After Show presented by Verizon. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as always, for more Star Wars show, check out youtube.com/Star Wars, StarWars.com, or the Star Wars app. Thanks again, and may the Force be with you.
Bye.